Hi guys, so this is an update on my 50-gallon goldfish tank in my classroom, and just thought I'd let you guys see what's happening. It's winter vacation right now. It's Friday. Gosh, I don't even know what the date is now, but New Year's is on Tuesday, and let's see. The school is going to be closed for 4 days, so Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, which means that these guys won't be fed for a few days. So I thought I'd come in Friday, did a water change, give them some food, and they'll be okay for 4 days on their own. So what do we got in here? We got my big Ryukin. He has some digestive problems, so I brought in some peas today. He's doing okay now. I put some salt in the water the other day, and they seem to be doing fine. I got my supposedly chocolate Oranda. He's gotten twice as big since the last time I made a video, and I don't see any head growth on him, so I don't really know if he's an Oranda or not. I'm starting to see, I'm not sure if I'm imagining it, but I kind of see one, but my red cap had a larger head growth by this point, so I'm not sure if he's just a fantail or something, but yeah, I can't see a head growth on him at all. But he's doing healthy. And then there's my red cap. He's also twice the size he was a few months ago, and he's doing really well. So yeah, these guys are all inside a 50-gallon tank, and not much different. I recently replaced all the carbon after a lot of discussion on cocos. I replaced all the carbon, which had to be replaced anyway, in my Aqua Clear 110 with these things. I got them on Boxing Day. BioStars or something. But they came highly recommended. These things are supposed to be super porous, and they're also super expensive. A bag of 50 cost me $50. Well, it was originally $50, but it was marked down to $25 for Boxing Day, so 50% off. I actually bought more than I needed, but I'm going to slowly replace all the carbon in all my filters with these things. So I've actually got quite a bit left, and I won't even use all of them up once I've filled up all my filters. But apparently they have a lot more surface area, very porous, and they last a very long time. And they're made of some kind of material that apparently this one guy who works at the store said he's had his inside his canister filter for several years. Now I'm not going to do that, but apparently they have a life of about 1 year. So hey, less maintenance on the filter. I don't have to worry about the carbon anymore. I thought apparently I'm like one of the only people who run carbon in their filter in a goldfish tank. I did not know that. A lot of people said they don't run carbon. So I mean, it was getting expensive. I figured, hey, what the heck, just go with bio. So yeah, it's nice having these guys in my classroom. The students really like looking at them, and it's nice for me because I'm a math teacher, but I get to actually teach them about goldfish because a lot of them don't know things. Like they don't know. A lot of them don't know that these are actually all goldfish. They're like, "What? I thought goldfish were all gold. So what's that? What's that gray guy? And what's the white guy with the red thing?" I'm like, "They're all goldfish. It's like different breeds of dog." So you know, as a teacher, I like teaching things. So it's nice to actually teach them about goldfish and fish keeping. Because a lot of them actually come to me and they say, you know, I had a fish tank and they all died. And I'm like, well, how big was the tank? And, you know, I get to talk to them about how many gallons you need per fish for a goldfish and all that kind of thing. And they learn things, and it's nice teaching stuff like that. This tank actually was useful in a math lesson. Because when I first got these guys, well, the Ryukin is the only original fish I've had. My fish tank originally got ick, and you know I've tried the medications with my old tropical tanks in the past. I'm not a fan of medication, and I found out about salt. So I actually followed after a lot of research. I did this, and it freaked me out at first because I couldn't believe this would actually work. But I put in a tablespoon of aquarium salt per gallon. So it was originally in their 30-gallon tank. I put 30 tablespoons of salt over the course of a few days and got the concentration of salt really high, and I put in a heater and got the temperature of the tank to be 90 degrees. I know that sounds insane, but apparently it works. And I did it, and yeah, it works. After 4 or 5 days, all the ick was gone and completely disappeared. And the fish were fine. I just had to keep the water aerated. And yeah, all their ick went away. And then to the class, I simply asked them, if I do a 10% water change every day, how long until the concentration of salt gets down to, like, 10% or whatever of its original value. So it was a logarithm question. I taught a logarithm question using my aquarium as an example. It's like, what day next month should I have the salt level down? And yeah, they got it. They understood what was happening. And so yeah, I've actually utilized this thing in a math lesson. Anyway, the real reason I'm shooting this video is because what happened right before school let out for winter break, one of my coworkers came and saw me and said, "Hey, do you want another fish?" I'm like, "I don't know, because right now this 50-gallon tank I'm pretty pleased with this thing. I feel like the right number of fish in there. I didn't want any more fish, and I thought everything was in nice equilibrium." So they're like, "Well, the office down the hall has a fish they want to get rid of." I'm like, "Okay, let's take a look." So apparently what happened is overnight someone had broken into the school office, and I guess they tried to steal their fish. And I was like, because there was water everywhere in their office, and I couldn't believe it. And someone had tried to steal their fish, and I looked at it, and it was ridiculous. And I'll show you. Anyway, long story short, they gave me this fish. I put him in this tank, and I realized, hey, I've got the old 30-gallon breeder tank that these three guys originally came from, just sitting underneath the shelf. I'll start it back up and put this new guy into it. So that is what ended up here. This guy, a Blackmoor, a big Blackmoor. Yeah. So they had him originally, when I found him, he was inside a 1-gallon beta tank. And this guy is huge. I mean, he could barely turn around, and they were feeding him constantly flake food. And I couldn't believe it. And I guess someone had broken into the office, and because at first they were like, we're not sure if someone broke into the office or if this guy tried escaping out of the bowl. And if you saw the size of the bowl, it was a 1-gallon beta bowl, and there's no way that this Blackmoor could have splashed water all over this giant office, because there's literally water all over the place. So they figured someone had broken into their office at the middle of the night, tried grabbing him out of the bowl or something, and he splashed and fought and got water everywhere. So they decided to leave the fish alone. So the office people asked me if I wanted him. I'm like, I was really hesitant about it. Didn't really want to put him inside my tank, because after the conditions this guy was in, I don't know what kind of diseases he had. But I felt so bad for the guy being in that little tiny bowl. I'm like, okay, fine. So I originally put him in with the other three guys inside the 50. And I looked at him like, you know what, this is way too many fish in that tank. I still got the 30-gallon breeder from before, sitting there doing nothing. So you know what, I'll put him inside here. So the next day, after I had the water sitting in there for a while, I moved one of my old AquaClear 50 into this tank. Stuck him in it, and he seems pretty happy. He's got all this space to swim in. He could barely turn in his little bowl thing. And I don't even know how he's still alive. And apparently, this guy is only 4 months old. I don't know how they got him this big. I'll show you how big he is. Okay, so if you see, he is a big guy. He is huge. He makes my Ryukin, which I've had for a year and a half, seem he's 4 times the size of my Ryukin. And they've been just feeding him flake food inside that little bowl. So I figured for this guy, even the AquaClear 50 all to himself was not enough. So on Boxing Day, I also went and got a AquaClear 70. So I'm running both right now. I was thinking about just running the 70 and putting my 50 back into the other tank, but you know what? I think this is good. I'll have the 70 and the 50 running for this guy. And in my other tank, I'll just keep the 110 and the Whisper 20 running. And you'll notice that I have no lights on this tank. I think I'm just going to keep it open top. He's not going to jump. Some people said, oh, you can't have a cover. You got to have a cover on your aquarium. You know what? You don't. You really don't. I haven't had any concerns with any of my fish jumping. And it's kind of nice being able to have an open top because I can actually see him from the top. Without a light, it's going to look, I don't know, I think it actually looks pretty good. I don't really have to worry about as many algae problems. I won't have any algae growth like as severe as my other tank, which has a actual photosynthetic light running because I wanted to grow some plants. But this looks pretty good. And there's actually more light coming in because of the light from the classroom, and there's no top. I figured I'm going to get him a companion, a small one. So this, once again, this is a 30-gallon breeder. He's a really large Blackmoor. I'm going to get him a companion, feng shui and whatnot. And I think he should have one. I'm not going to get a full-size goldfish. I like starting guys out small. That's why this guy's an exception. I got him as a rescue fish in a way. But I was thinking about getting a Ranchu or a lionhead because I had a Ranchu. I really liked him, and then unfortunately he passed away. There is a goldfish store in Vancouver. It's called, oh gosh, I forgot what it's called now, but it specializes in Asian fish, and they have every goldfish breed imaginable, which is really neat. But yeah, I'm going to probably go get a baby Ranchu or a lionhead and stick him in here with them. Should be okay. This guy obviously has trouble seeing, just like you expect of a Blackmoor, so I figured a Ranchu or a lionhead that can't swim very well would be able to compete with food. But yeah. So, I have become one of those people who have multiple tanks. I have 2 saltwater tanks at home, as well as a comet and koi pond outside. And now inside my classroom, I've got 2 goldfish tanks. A 50 with 3 fish, and a 30 with 1 large Blackmoor that is going to soon have a buddy. He's like I mentioned, he's only been eating flake food. So I'm going to try giving him some peas today, see if he actually eats them. Yeah, so like I said, it's winter vacation, so I got my desks everywhere. But let's take a look. Chop these guys up the other night and see if he eats them. I noticed that he had a lot of trouble seeing. I had a Blackmoor before, and he didn't have anywhere near as much trouble as this guy does. He seems to have trouble finding food. Oh, no, well, there he goes. Like I said, the school's going to be closed for 4 days, so I figured I'd give him some peas right now and then give him some worms or something. I know you're not supposed to overfeed before a long break, but I got a lot of filtration in here, and I think they've been feeding this guy constantly. Like, even when I walked in that day to see him in the bowl, they were pouring food all over his head because he couldn't move inside the bowl. And it was really quite a sad thing to see. But I think they fed him constantly because you know how goldfish are always hungry. I think they actually were feeding him all the time, and that's why he got so big so quickly. I'm surprised he's actually as healthy as he is. So I wanted to, not just suddenly starve him cold turkey. I figured I'd give him still quite a bit of food, but, slowly wean him off having so much food constantly. This is the first time he's ever had peas, I think, and he seems to like them. You'll notice that the dorsal fin is missing the first bone, or it's been snapped off, and that's common. When I go to the goldfish, when I go to any aquarium store and I see them with goldfish, more often than not, the goldfish their fins are a little bit broken. I try always to pick my fish not to have that because it's a pet peeve of mine, but like I said, it's a rescue fish. I'm really glad he's in here. He seems a lot happier than before in the bowl. I'm going to keep this tank bare bottom. I've really become a fan of bare bottom. It is so much easier, and it looks I thought it would look too sterile, but I think it looks fine. It looks great. The focus is really about the fish for me now. With my saltwater tanks, it's always about the actual complete environment. So it's actually less about the fish and more about the rocks and the coral and whatnot. But with the goldfish tank, I think it really is about the goldfish, not the plants and the rocks and the driftwood or whatever. I think I really want to just look at the fish. So having it inside a clear tank like this really does service to the fish. Anyway, yeah, like I said, students really enjoy it. I like it. It's just kind of a, the usual gripes. I hate doing water changes, but I've gotten so used to doing it that, several days a week I'll do a water change. These guys seem healthy. So, yeah. He is a big fish. Anyway, hope you guys liked the video. I know I ranted quite a bit, but quite a bit to say.